You might think divorce ends the story. You sign the papers, walk away, and try to rebuild. But here's what most men never realize. For women, the real story often starts after the divorce, and what happens next will shock you, because what she shows you isn't what she actually feels. See, after a breakup or divorce, women often appear strong, confident, even liberated. She might post new pictures, hang out with friends, maybe even start dating again. And you might look at all of that and think, she's moved on fast. But the truth? That's only surface level. What happens beneath the surface is far more complicated and often deeply human. In the beginning, there's what psychologists call the relief phase. It's that sense of freedom after emotional exhaustion. When a marriage breaks down, a woman often carries invisible weight for years: resentment, disappointment, loneliness. So when it ends, there's a rush of relief. She tells herself she's doing the right thing. She feels light again. It's almost like a high, that first taste of emotional release. But here's where it starts to shift. After a few months, the silence begins to echo. That once exciting freedom turns into something colder: isolation. She begins to realize that the comfort, the stability, the quiet presence of the man she once had is gone. She won't admit it, of course. She'll tell her friends she's happy. She'll post pictures that look full of joy. But when the phone stops buzzing at night and she's left with her thoughts, that's when the truth sinks in. She starts replaying the marriage in her mind, the arguments, the affection, the times she took things for granted. Here's what most men don't know. Women don't process regret the same way men do. Men feel the loss early. The absence hits hard and fast. Women, on the other hand, often feel it slowly, over time, once the emotional adrenaline wears off. And when it hits, it's not because she misses you, at least not at first. It's because she misses what you provided, the feeling of safety, consistency, and identity that came with being part of something stable. Then comes the comparison phase. She starts dating again, but it's different. Every man she meets becomes a reflection of what she once had. She notices the things he doesn't do, how he doesn't check in, how he doesn't understand her moods, how he doesn't carry himself with the same familiarity. It's subtle at first, but soon she realizes it's not as easy to find emotional connection as she thought. Psychologically, this is where the regret curve begins. Even if she left you, there's a point where she starts questioning her decision, not because she wants to come back, but because she finally feels the weight of what she lost. And for many women, that weight shows up in strange ways. Sleepless nights, random thoughts of what if. Sometimes she'll even reach out, not because she wants reconciliation, but because she's testing if she still has emotional access to you. Now, if you're the man in this story, this is where you need to be careful. Because when she starts to feel that emptiness, she might look back for comfort, not love. She wants validation that she's still valued, that she didn't completely lose your respect. But if you fall for it, if you allow her to come back emotionally while she's still uncertain, you'll only restart the same cycle that broke you the first time. This is where your stoicism matters most. You must learn to detach without hate. You must understand that her pain, her confusion, her silence, none of it is your responsibility anymore. That's her journey now. And the man who understands that finds peace faster than she ever will. As time passes, something changes inside her. The independence she once celebrated starts to feel heavier. She begins to see the world differently, not through excitement, but through reality. Bills pile up, friends get busy, dating becomes exhausting. And while men rebuild themselves through focus and purpose, many women try to fill that emotional void through attention. But attention doesn't equal connection. And eventually that realization breaks her a little. That's when nostalgia hits hard. She'll think back to small things, the smell of your cologne, the sound of your car pulling in, the way you looked at her before things fell apart. She might even talk about you with friends, saying, "He wasn't that bad," or "Maybe I overreacted." That's not manipulation. That's memory trying to rewrite pain. By now, you've probably moved on in your own way. You've rebuilt parts of yourself. But here's a truth few men acknowledge. You will always carry a piece of that bond no matter how much time passes. It doesn't mean you want her back. It just means you're human. The difference is you're learning from it. You're becoming stronger, quieter, more self-aware. And if you're watching this, here's what I want you to take away. A woman might seem fine after divorce, but there's always a hidden story playing inside her. Don't let appearances fool you. Time exposes truth. And for many women, that truth comes with a deep sense of, I didn't know what I had. That's not revenge, that's reality. So stay calm, stay centered. Because when she finally realizes what you became after she left, that's when she truly understands the difference between freedom and loss. And if you're still here, still watching, remember this: the best revenge isn't a new woman. It's peace, discipline, and a purpose so strong that no breakup, no divorce, and no regret can shake it. But before we move into what happens next, the phase most men never see coming, pause for a second. If you're watching and haven't subscribed yet, hit that button now. Because what I'm about to explain in part 2 will change how you see every post-divorce behavior a woman displays. And it'll finally make sense why she acts happy, even when she's quietly falling apart inside. By now, months have passed since the divorce. The world around her has adjusted. New routines, new habits, even new faces. But deep down, something doesn't feel right. It's not loneliness exactly. It's a quiet emptiness she can't explain. She tells herself she's fine. She says she's happier. But in the quiet hours, when she scrolls through old photos or hears a familiar song, she feels it. That deep ache that says, something in my life used to make sense. This is the stage where most women face the hardest part of post-divorce life, the emotional mirror. Because for the first time, she can't distract herself with blame. There's no one to argue with, no one to fix, no one to point at. She has to look inward, and that's when she starts seeing things she never wanted to face. She remembers how she slowly pulled away, how she stopped appreciating the small gestures, how she let resentment grow without ever expressing it clearly, and how, little by little, she turned the man who once adored her into a stranger. Psychologists call this delayed accountability. When emotions finally settle, reality steps in. And reality doesn't lie. It exposes the truth that feelings tried to hide. For many women, this truth hits hard. She didn't lose a man. She lost a mirror of who she used to be. Because in most marriages, a woman's emotional world becomes deeply tied to her partner's energy. And when that bond breaks, she doesn't just lose a husband. She loses a version of herself that only existed in that connection. Now, here's what's even more interesting. While she's going through that emotional reckoning, you, as the man, are evolving in silence. You've been through the storm, faced the emptiness, and rebuilt your purpose piece by piece. You might still feel the sting, but there's something powerful growing in you. Clarity. You start realizing that her happiness was never truly your responsibility. It was her own battle. You begin to see that love doesn't die because two people stop caring. It dies when one person stops showing gratitude, and once you grasp that truth, something inside you clicks. You stop chasing closure. You stop needing validation. You stop trying to prove your worth to anyone, especially to the one who couldn't see it when you gave it freely. Meanwhile, she starts noticing the difference, too. The man she once thought she could easily replace isn't the same anymore. You're quieter, more focused, more composed. You no longer respond emotionally, and that unsettles her. Why? Because women are emotionally intuitive. They sense shifts quickly. And when she realizes that she no longer has emotional power over you, that she can't trigger you with guilt or pull you back with nostalgia, that's when the tables truly turn. It's not revenge. It's evolution. At this stage, she might test the waters. A random message, a memory dropped into conversation, or a subtle apology wrapped in humor. She might even say things like, "You've changed," or "I miss how easy things used to be." But don't get it twisted. She's not always looking for reconciliation. Sometimes she's just trying to see if she still matters to you. And that's where a stoic man stands firm. You see, the old you would have taken the bait. You'd reply, reopen wounds, maybe even meet up just to talk. But the new you has learned the difference between peace and permission. You don't need to revisit pain to prove you've healed. You've already moved past it by refusing to play the same emotional games. Now let's talk about something society rarely acknowledges: the long-term emotional cost women face after divorce. Men often face financial or social consequences, but for women, the emotional ones cut deeper and last longer, especially when they realize that the love they walked away from wasn't the problem, their expectations were. She begins to see how fantasy blinded her. Maybe she thought life after divorce would be exciting, liberating, or full of new romance. But reality shows her something different. That attention is easy, but connection is rare. That independence is empowering, but loneliness is real. And that peace doesn't come from escape, it comes from gratitude. She might start watching you from afar, not necessarily stalking, but keeping tabs quietly. Maybe she sees you smiling again, working on yourself, reconnecting with life. And in those moments, she realizes something profound. You didn't need her to become better. You became better because she left. That truth hurts more than any breakup ever could. Because what she now sees is the version of you she always wanted, but never got to experience fully, because she didn't have the patience to wait through the process. That's the paradox of regret. It always comes when it's too late. Now, before we move to the final reflection, there's something important you, as a man, should remember. Healing after divorce doesn't mean hating your ex. It means understanding her humanity and your own. It means recognizing that both of you were acting from pain, fear, or immaturity. And the only way to truly move forward is to forgive, not for her, but for your peace. So what happens to your wife after divorce? She doesn't just move on. She changes, sometimes in ways even she can't understand. She learns, she struggles, she questions, but beneath all that strength and self-assurance, there's always a silent truth whispering inside her. He was never the problem. My expectations were. And that's when the full circle closes. That's when she realizes that love, once lost, is not something you can just replace. It's something you either grow from or spend years regretting. So if you're watching this and you're still healing, remember this: you don't need to prove anything. Not to her, not to anyone. The only proof you need is in your peace, your discipline, and your growth. Because while she's looking back, wondering, what if, you'll be moving forward, becoming a man who doesn't just survive heartbreak, but transforms because of it. And that, my friend, is the quiet victory of a stoic man. He doesn't beg, he doesn't chase, he simply rises until even the one who left can't help but respect him for it. If this message spoke to you, let me say this: don't forget to subscribe, because this channel is where we talk about real things most men are too afraid to say out loud. And in the next video, I'll show you exactly how stoic men rebuild their emotional strength after betrayal and come out more powerful than ever. Well, then